We want to be sure to thank the people that support us. One of them is Buds. You know Buds, a fixture in the industry. Been with us for over 10 years. Great company. Also Silencer Central, high quality company, and they do one thing really well, and you got to love that, don't you? Also the Sonoran Desert Institute, sdi.edu. You can get certified in gunsmithing. You can take all sorts of great courseware there from a distance. As well, Alabama Holster, you know that I love them, been using those for a long time. Great little Kydex concealment holsters. We really appreciate everybody that helps us out and has been loyal to us. So, especially you all, right? So anyway, enjoy the video. Hickok 45 here. Look what I have. Some beautiful Mauser rifles. Let's shoot this longer one first. You want to? See if it'll reach out. All right, it did. It reached out to the gong. And since there's so much light on that turkey down there for some reason, it must be somebody's up there telling me to shoot it, you think? Yeah, it was a sign. And I always read the signs. Yeah, what we got here is a G98. And I'm gonna see if I can put one that low. I'll wait till I get them sighted in, zeroed in here before I get too frisky. I just want to throw some lead with each one. Yep, this is the G98. We're going to do a little comparison and give you my impressions, what I would carry to war if I had to carry one of these rifles. But between this one and the Kar98K, the K98K, the Carabiner 98K, the shorter version, okay, of the Mauser rifle. So that's what we're about here. Nothing too profound. I don't have the depth of knowledge that some of you have when it comes to Mausers, but I know a little bit, enough to be dangerous, enough to enjoy them. And you hopefully have seen all three of these rifles in videos here, right, at the Hickok 45 compound. This G98, Gewehr 98, the K98K, and then the K98A or AZ. They're called by many names, and we'll talk a little bit about that, but we just thought we would you know, have a little fun with these and do a little bit of comparison. Some obvious history to most of you probably, but not to everybody, because one of the things I wanted to point out is just the difference in sizes and the lengths of rifles. You know, and this seems to be the case in just about every country, right? The early Mausers, which goes back to the early, well, in the 1880s actually, but the Gewehr 98, the G98 was, boy, I don't know about perfection, but that wonderful bolt, you know, in the G98. So that's the year, 1898. And this was pretty much the rifle, infantry rifle in Germany from 1898 until what, 1935 officially, but it was used, of course, in World War II as well. Everything. They went through the K98 later. So went from longer to shorter. I think this was about 29-inch barrel, something like that. The K98K was around 23.6 or something like that. You got different sights. You got the straight bolt. You got some differences here, and we'll talk a little bit about that. And we'll just take a few shots. And I won't keep you all day, I promise. You may not think they're beautiful, but boy, when it comes down to the history, the shootability, the action, it's hard to beat a Mauser, isn't it? Now, I've said in the other videos, I don't know if maybe I'll link to some of those, but you know, the action, the Mauser action will never die. About every bolt gun is a variation of that, I guess, these days, if not exact. Okay, so what are we about? I don't know. Let's, like I said, early rifles, whether you're talking about Mausers, you name it, you can go almost in any country, whether it's France or the United States. The rifles just started out longer. Part of that is, it goes way back in the old muzzle loaders and muskets and that kind of thing, where you just need a little more length maybe to get the sight picture, get all the powder burn, get more velocity, you know, whatever. But I guess part of it was powders, the innovations in powders and better powders, more efficient powder, smokeless powders, and powders that would give similar performance in a shorter barrel. That's one thing. And I think sometimes in various countries they just sort of stumbled upon it. You know, the situation in Germany, for example, you know, this was the infantry issued rifle, but you need something a little bit shorter for support troops. I mean, they're in war, but they're not necessarily in the front lines. And you know, they're artillery men, they're truck drivers, and whatever they're doing, they need a rifle. But that's pretty ungainly, you know, big old long rifle, isn't it? And so that's been long the tradition, even back in the black powder musket days. And for cavalry, you know, you just need a smaller firearm, shorter, and as easy to operate as possible. And Germany's no different. And that's why, now this is a K98K, but now this baby here, which we've done a video on, this is the one they call what, the K98A or the AZ. It just has different names, but it they had a shorter carbine even than this before 1908, but around 1908 they started producing this, and it's a pretty nice rifle. It's a smaller ring. It's a little bit smaller and lighter than the K98. Again, the K98K wasn't around yet, you know, in 1908. And so this was what they had in mind for, you know, cavalry and, you know, support troops, and carried it. And they made quite a lot of these. Before it was over, forget the number, hundreds of thousands of them, I'm pretty sure. And I read that before the end of the war, World War I, we're talking, that 65% of production of rifles were these, you know. So that often happens, whether they're issued or not. Some of these things, like the M1 carbine, American rifle, it wasn't designed to be a frontline rifle. It was a replacement for a 45, you know, sidearm, you know, the 1911 kind of, but ended up on the front lines, and soldiers liked it a lot. And that's kind of what happened with this. This was really handy in the trenches of World War I. It was handier, easier to maneuver, you know, shorter gun, imagine that, in a trench. And so it became pretty popular. Soldiers liked it. And so it's kind of, you know, what got the idea to shorten it all eventually into the K98K, you know, come 1935 into that range. But these were used for a long time up into World War II. And a couple of the distinguishing features, you know, you've got the stacking hook here, you know, for soldiers to stack their guns. And when you see that, that's probably what you got. Now there's so many variations and copies of these things. Poland copied this rifle, as I understand. They call it the, I don't know, the Carabiner 98 or something without the K, and it's confused with this rifle or the K98K. So, and so many countries, you know, made Mausers, but way more than I'm going to get into. I'm not even sure about all of that. But I really like this rifle. This is pretty cool. And this one is 1917. So I got this out here mainly. Again, it's kind of the interim, you know, you get right down to it, between this one and 1935, the K98K. Okay, so I know for a long time I thought this was like the first real, you know, I don't know, issued shorter rifle. But you know, this actually wasn't. It's very similar to the K98K. And we just don't need a rifle this long in general. You know, look at the the early AR-15s, M16s, the big old long muskets. You know, my A2, it's a big old long rifle. You know, that thing doesn't get issued to anybody now, does it? One that length, hardly. You know, it's kind of rare. So it's just the way of the world. And pretty cool. All of them 8mm. Let's shoot one of them again. Okay, let's shoot. All right, we shot this one. Let's shoot this thing. Might as well get them all dirty since y'all are here. Want to? I haven't shot really any of these for a while. I need to get them out on a Sunday and just work them all out here over a period of time. You know, the clip, now you don't have to take the clip out, as I say, you can just push the bolt forward, but I don't like to lose those. If I'm in battle, that's what I'll do. I promise, okay? Yeah, 8mm, it's a nice round. Goes right through a 2-liter. Look at it, it'll even blow up into the air. Very popular for bowling. Very popular for popping gongs. Yeah, what'd I tell you? Got one more round. Just hit that pin right there. Oh, whoa, killed the pin. This is a nice rifle. I like that. Yeah. See that, for example, you can see why that would have been popular. You know, if I was general infantry, front lines, whatever, I'd rather be carrying that, I think, than this little long, heavier rifle. Now you do have longer sight radius, right? That's kind of nice. And boy, the G98 is a dream to shoot. So, and since I usually live in a dream, why not? So, and think about anything else I should do too. So yeah, so this one by many names. You know, some of you have maybe have read more on it. The K98A or Z. I think I have the videos labeled K98A, and sometimes it was the AZ. That I tell you, the A stood for the bayonet lug, I think, and the Z meant that it had the stacking hook, that kind of thing. So I don't know if anybody really uses that much, the collectors, but I think when they were designing it, building it, those were the designations, perhaps. And just nice 8mm. Got the bent bolt handle. Okay, they changed the bolt handle. You know, it's I don't know. I've read they thought that the bent bolt handle was faster to operate. John and I both think that the straight handles is quicker. I don't know, it is for me. I can operate that one better. To me, it's just right there, kind of nice. There were some issues with mounting an optic right above the bolt handle, so that's one reason they bent the bolt handle on these, so you have more flexibility with that. Get it out of the way a little bit, you know, so that's kind of nice. But the main thing is, you know, we evolve into a shorter rifle. You know, they had a really short rifle, I think even shorter than this for a while, a carbine but the blast from the ammo was incredible. It was incredible because you usually get more blast as you shorten the barrel. But then they changed the ammo, and that kind of took care of that, I don't know, the powder or whatever. So then in 1935, and again, don't forget now, this was 1908, right on up. This was available, and they were making these. But then we go to the K98K, 1935. We're making this thing in a shorter barrel like this, the curved bolt, taking I guess the best of this. It's back, I think, in the large ring gun. It's not as light as that middle one there, but this was 43. This was made in Oberndorf, BYF. It's you know, nice sight. One of the disadvantages on the Gewehr, this sight, the roller coaster sight, was when you look down through there to sight it, you're looking through a ravine kind of thing, and it did hamper your sideways view. You're really like on the gong right now. I really can't see what's to either side of the gong much. For several feet on either side because of the way that you see that deep groove you're looking through. Wouldn't bother me too much. Maybe it would if I was in combat. So the sights on these others are a little different. That's an advantage of that. But you got the curved bolt, shorter gun. The early ones were in a solid stock up until I think about 37, was it? And just a solid piece of wood. And in some ways they're nicer looking. You see one in a walnut stock, whatever. But those stocks can warp, and you have to wait for them to dry out to make it. There's a slower process. But if you've done any woodworking, you know what I'm talking about. With a laminated stock, they can piece that together, and there are fewer problems, as I understand. They're a little bit heavier, but they lasted better. And then they went to this stock around 1940, this butt plate that kind of wraps around the end of the stock, so it helped keep it from splintering and coming apart. I showed you in one of the videos, the cigarette holder there. I demonstrate what that was for and how that worked. So anyway, the shorter rifle is what we end up with, the K98K, Kar98K. KAR stands for carabiner, you know, carbine. And then the K98K, that K stands for curse, for short, you know, shorter. Okay, so that's what you got here, and let's shoot this thing. This, in some ways, is the star of the show, isn't it? Most of us are more familiar with the K98K than either of the other two, maybe. Those darn G98s are hard to come by. They're hard to find. Even if you wanted to go buy one today, you had unlimited funds, you got to search for those babies. So this is pretty nice. This was 1943. I remember it well. Is that oh, that's a jug hanging there. Yeah, it was hanging there. Oh boy, sweet rifle. Let's pop that watermelon, won't you? Woo! 8mm. I wonder if I can take that pin out without knocking off that 2-liter behind it. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to shoot again. Yeah, these are sweet. Many of you, I guess many, correct? Some of you have a K98K of some variety. You've seen a video on this one. This is a little bit of a snobbish version because it's all matching, but they all shoot the same. They all shoot the same. I think I'm gonna load it again. Can I do that? I love the way they load, and all you have to do is push the bolt forward. Maybe I'll do that just to show you. See, it comes out, falls. I just don't want to lose those. They ain't that cheap. Did I hit the gong with it yet? And then the safety, put that straight up, and now it will not fire, but I can operate the bolt. If I put it over here, I cannot operate the bolt. It is locked up, ties the drum. Okay. I knew you were worried about that. Boom, hits hard. I wonder if it hits hard on a turkey. Now the sun's not shining on it. It's not highlighted. So maybe they don't want me to shoot it anymore. Shot it anyway. Yeah. I'll shoot whatever I want to, whether there's a signal from the heavens or not. Yeah, boy. I'm ready. I like this. I think this will be successful. I do believe it will. I think it will be adopted somewhere and it will sell. So the good old K98K, that's what we ended up with. It was, I think, manufactured from about 35 to 45. Something happened around 45 that I guess you could say it put a big damper. Wow, they quit making money. It put a big damper on firearms production in Germany. Now, I'm not sure what it was, but I heard there was something that occurred about that time. So they weren't making many firearms right after that. And, but boy, they wrapped up with a nice one, no doubt about it. Just a great rifle. If you're new to firearms, you're looking at some really classic rifles, especially the bolt, that bolt action. And I've shown the bolt, I've taken it out, shown you all, and you all know what a bolt looks like, everything, but the engineering behind the bolt, and you would think all that is a piece of steel you got to push in there to hold the round in, but it's a little more complex than that, and a lot of interesting aspects to it, and the ports there, and just different things, the way who's it, Peter Paul Mauser and his brother, I forget his name, Wilhelm Mauser, and they designed that baby, and they got it pretty much right, because the action, you know, in 1898, the action, the bolt, everything is pretty much, I think, exactly the same on both these rifles. That was not really changed. Correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm right. But I think the barrels are a little different. Maybe it's all different things, might be, but not the action. It's just they got it right, and that's why it appears on so many bolt guns these days. But like I say, that is just kind of to illustrate the difference. I'm not sure. I think, let me put a couple of rounds. I was going to do this and didn't do it, and then I'll let you go. Let me put a couple of rounds in each one of these, because one of the things I wanted to do, in case you're thinking about buying one of these, okay, like I do with a polymer pistol, 10mm or something, shoot a couple of them together and see which one recoils more or whatever. Let's do that with these two things, these two classics, the Kar98 Kar and the Gewehr, the G98. And I will recommend which one you really need, okay, over the other. All right, now there's nothing in the chamber any one of. So let's just put 3 on the gong with each one, and that will tell me everything I need to know, tell you which one I recommend. All right. I'm monitoring recoil, sight picture, feel. All right. Okay. I think I like the G98 better. I always have, actually. It feels great. I like the straight bolt. I like the long sight radius. So this is the one I'm going to war with, okay? So anyway, just a little fun, you know, talking about the differences and the evolution of this. And it happens in virtually every country. It has happened. We go to a shorter rifle, shorter and shorter, right? Think about it, man, compare this or the big old long trapdoor Springfields, the big old long Krag, you know, Jorgensen, all those big long rifles, and then the carbine versions of those, and what our soldiers are carrying now for the most part. Some firearms with very short barrels. You know, we think legally 16 inches is kind of short, right? A lot of us have ARs that are 16 inches now instead of the 20 or whatever. And a lot of ARs are even shorter than the 16 inch, especially a military firearm. It doesn't have to be that long. And so, you know, short barreled rifle, it's called, right? So with the right ballistics, the right ammo and the powder, you know, you can get by pretty well with a very, very short rifle. But they started out long, they ended up shorter. That's kind of the way of things. So mainly, excuse me, get these out and shoot them and invite you along. At least I invited you along. You might not have learned anything, but you got to come out in the woods with us and get some ticks and see some shooting. So I'm glad you did. We appreciate y'all. Life is good.
Oh yeah, that's better. This is a great gun for defense. Oh hey, didn't see you guys there. While I've got you here, I want to remind you of our friends over at Talon Grips and Ballistol. Talon Grips makes grips, can you believe it, for all different types of firearms. You can get rough texture or more of a rubberized texture. It just sticks right on there. You know, really affordable, really cool option to improve the grip for your handguns or rifles. So please check them out at talongungrips.com. You'll be glad you did. And also Ballistol. Dad has been using Ballistol for many years. It's a cleaner and a lubricant, and it's non-toxic. It works really great, and we're happy to have them on board since it's been a part of our shooting endeavor for a very long time. So go to ballistol.com, talongungrips.com, and also while you're out there, I'm juggling all these things here. Also, while you're on the internet, please do check out our other social media like Hickok45 on Facebook. There's also Hickok45 on Twitter, The Real Hickok45 on Instagram. There's a John_Hickok45 on Instagram where I do some things. There's Hickok45.com. You can find us also on Gunstreamer. So check out all that stuff and then watch more videos.